So the Humble Indie Bundle 11 is out now. Well, the Humble Bundle 11. They removed the indie from the title. And there are some excellent games in it. There's Dustin Elysian Tale, which I beat like completely, Guacamelee, which I recently beat, Anti-Chamber, that's really, really interesting. And today they just released the game, the other games are going to be a part of it, which are Fez, Beat Buddy, and I forgot the name of the other one. But there's some also some other games in there that I haven't played yet, but they look very fun. So if you want to go check that out, I have a link in the description. You can pay whatever you want, but you have to pay a certain amount for some of the other games. But the amount's very, very low. It's like 461 right now. And however much you pay, you get to choose how much you give to the developers and how much you give to charity and how much you give to the site owners. Though I mentioned that they removed indie from the title because there has been some controversy of Humble Bundle and what they have in their bundles sometimes. I think back when they had Limbo and Bastion in one of their bundles, there has been some criticism that those games aren't indie, even though they are, or are they? The thing is that there's a very loose definition of what indie is. There have also been some times when Tim Schafer's games have been part of the bundles, where Psychonauts was part of one and Brutal Legend was part of one, and both of those had publishers before. And then there's also the two bundles that they came out with the EA Origin bundle and the THQ bundle, which, those are publishers. But they also have developers under them. But that doesn't make them independent. So it brings me to the question, what is an indie game? Does it mean a game has no connections to a publisher or a sponsor at all? I know that Super Meat Boy, that's one of the most popular indie games, and at the time it was trying to be sponsored by Microsoft's Xbox Live Arcade. It was exclusive there for a little bit, but over time they moved to PC and they sold a lot more. And then there's things like Minecraft, where they don't have a sponsor or a publisher, but they're one of the best-selling PC games of all time. And some people like to argue that that means they're not indie anymore because they're self-sufficient. So, does that mean that if you make enough money off of one game that you're not indie anymore? I don't think that's true. I'd like to think that most developers started out as independent. I mean, even the big publishers we see today, like Electronic Arts and Activision, I mean, back in the late 70s and early 80s, Activision made Pitfall. And there weren't that many people in the company. But it's only really in the past decade where indie means something to gamers. They usually think of a game that's smaller than a big budget title and doesn't have many people working on it. But that's not always the case. Sometimes it's one guy working on it and sometimes it's a couple hundred. There's really no clear-cut way to define an independent game. I guess you could say any game that's not tied to a publisher, but then again, we go back to Psychonauts and Brutal Legend, which, now Double Fine sells on their own. So, what does that make them? Are they independent, or were they once not? Or are they still, or are they... I just don't know. I just know that I love playing indie games. A lot of them have unique stories and game mechanics that have either been borrowed or improved upon, but I always find something, charming about indie games that I don't really find in a lot of bigger games. So tell me, what do you think makes an indie game? Because I'm sort of confused, because the definition isn't really clear-cut. Anyway, leave a response in the comment, and next time I'm going to tell you my top 7 anticipated indie games of 2014. So see you then!